Um, guys, very first installment of How Old Is This? The podcast. Welcome. Introduce myself, I will? Question mark.
Oh,
My name is Zofia. I have a lovely co-host with me. Co-host, what's your name?
my name is Julian.
No.
What do you mean, no?
Say it the way it's said.
Oh, you mean with my accents?
Yeah.
Hello, listener. If you haven't happened to picked up, English is not my first language. I happen to be, well, not anymore. I used to be an immigrant. So the way you actually pronounce my name is Julian.
There you go.
Julian.
Hey, Julian.
You.
No, I'm not saying that. You can see, you can hear, you can't see. Actually, there is no visual element to this.
I
There
mean, there
will
is, there is
be.
gonna be a very nice,
No.
yeah. I mean,
What?
no, there was not gonna be a video, but we're gonna have a cover, which
Oh, well,
is a
yes,
reference
you
to
can see
another
the
thing,
lovely
which is a
cover.
secret, but so people are up to see if they can find the reference. That'll be kind of cool.
You guys can see the lovely cover.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's lovely. As of right
I
now,
made that.
it doesn't exist yet,
It exists in my mind.
but I'm sure it's lovely. So thank you, Julian, for making that lovely cover. But no, there's no video element to this. Yeah, I guess there is a visual element, but there's no video element. There will be no video element. That is something. Let's get into this. I don't like it when podcasts are videos.
I like it when they're just like a small thing in a loop that I can stare at, like if I was a cat.
Well, the thing is,
So
if
if you
I'm
put a little
putting
GIF, if you upload your podcast and it happens to be one with the visual elements that is a GIF of a little skeleton dancing for the 53 minutes that you're going to be speaking, I find it quite appealing actually to look at that while I try to go to sleep.
well, you're referencing a specific thing. What are you referencing?
A couple of them actually. It's not just one thing. I know you're talking about like when it becomes more interviewing and then you have this houses in LA with giant couches and they're just laying there. I also don't like that. But again, you're using wide terms as in I don't like when video element can also be a little GIF, and I think that's cute.
I don't care for little GIF. When I say video element, I mean actual video content. If it's a little GIF that's playing on repeat, like, okay, whatever. I don't like it when a
Well,
podcast.
I think it's content because the GIF makes me content. So it's content.
If I'm putting on a podcast, it's because I'm driving or I'm cleaning or I'm I don't know, doing something where I can't look at my screen, or maybe I don't want to look at my screen because my eyes really hurt because I've been staring at my iPad all day. So if I'm putting on a podcast, I'm expecting to receive content for my ears. And then if I know that a video version of it exists out there,
You're just gonna crash your car
first of all, I'm going to get into a car accident and die.
on
Second of
purpose,
all,
so it's not an accident.
okay, maybe, but second of all, I'm just going to feel very intense FOMO at all. Then I'm like, well, it doesn't matter what facial expression this person made while talking because they didn't intend for it to be seen. If a video exists of it, I'm like, well, maybe I need to be seeing this facial expression, you know? Maybe I'm not getting the full experience without this facial expression. I don't know. I think I'm I'm going to take a conservative stance on this topic and say that podcasts are audio and videos are
Sophia
video.
is going conservative for the
This is
first
my
time in life.
this is my conservative arc. Please stop filming your podcast. Thank you. So maybe let's actually get into like what this is.
Yeah,
Little backstory. I came up with this idea for this podcast,
that
and
is a true.
the idea being podcast where you take an album, a music album, and you discuss it song by song in immense detail. And I came up with this idea, I want to say very early 2021, because this is something that I just do a lot on my own in my notes app. Of just, I have a little format that I follow, and I listen to music and I analyze it in depth. And then I was like, that would be fun as a podcast, question mark. And then I just kind of had that idea in the back of my head. And I think I considered doing it alone for a while, but then I was like, I don't want to do that alone, maybe. And then I brought it up to you in 2023, and you said you didn't want to do it.
It's because of my general idea of podcasting. And but
I don't know why.
now I have a not necessarily a different image or vision of what a podcast is. It's more I enjoy a space where I can share about music with you, and that's the whole point in it.
In it.
In it.
In it. Well, I brought it up to you. I was like, "Do you want to do this thing with me?" You were like, "Fuck no." uh, and then I ended up bringing it to other people, but
Was I the first one that you
you were the first one. Yes.
really? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
honored.
Yeah. You should be.
I am.
Good. Yeah, you were the first one, and then I brought it up to two more people. I actually remember specifically I brought it up to in 23 after you said you didn't want to do it. I brought it to a really good friend of mine at the time. And then she was like, "Oh my god, yeah, totally." And then but she didn't know I came to you first. And then we were all hanging out, and I so vividly remember um turning to you and being like, "Oh, did you know that, her and I, we're gonna start this podcast, and it's gonna be like we're gonna take an album and we're gonna go song by song and really
Yeah, and you
analyze it
gave the full
in depth."
description that I already knew.
Yeah, I gave the full
Like a
description.
spiteful person.
Yes, being I was being a little mischievous, I will say. Uh,
I
that
wouldn't
is
know
a
anything about that.
that is just a very vivid memory I had. And then her and I never did it. And then recently I brought it up to another friend of mine. And we probably would have gone through and done it, but then you were like, you kind of came in and swept me into your, I don't know. I'm
I don't know.
ending this off
I
here.
did get a little bit excited about the idea later on, you know.
Yeah,
I
because
want to be the one editing it. I want to be the one doing the cover, etc., etc.
etc. etc.
Yeah. You
So
are the one that actually knows about music theory, so you're gonna be the one providing the most
that
in that
is
side of things when we're
mm, that
speaking
is a
about music.
that is a big claim you just made. Well, for context, I went to music school and played the violin for like 13 years.
Or like
Um,
7,000 years or something. I don't know.
7
How old
billion
is Chopin?
years.
Like double that.
Yeah, I'm an immortal vampire and I have been playing the
Man,
violin
vampires have been
for.
such a topic as of late. I'm sick of it, honestly. This week I went to the theater to watch a play, Vampire. I watched a movie about cowboys, Vampire. I was listening to music, Vampire. I'm a bit sick of vampires, to be honest. Please
Well,
stop it.
sorry. I'm an immortal vampire. I played the violin for a billion years. Um, and then I also took music theory classes. And then in high school, my senior year of high school, I did. indeed take AP Music Theory, and I did indeed score a 5 on the AP exam. How? Not sure, considering if you don't know how an AP exam works, there's like an
Yeah,
ABC.
I was about to say, for
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
ignorant mortals that only
Not
know
for the
about music,
non-Americans. For
what
the
is AP?
non-Americans, AP is an advanced placement class that functions in American high schools. And if you take an AP class, a lot of the time later when you go to college, I don't know, it counts as college credit or something. And so I took AP Music Theory, Advanced Placement Music Theory. And the AP exam you take at the end of the school year, it's partially ABCD questions. And then for music theory, there's an oral section. So you have to sing into a little iPad. They give you an iPad and you sing into an iPad. Very dystopian. And then there's also like a second segment
You
of
sing,
the,
sorry, you sing to an iPad with a microphone or the integrated microphone of the iPad?
I want to say just the integrated
You.
microphone. Yeah. But then for the written part, there's also a section where you're actually writing music. And I want to say it's 4 exercises. And so it's like, I think 2 dictations where you're like, they play a pre recorded thing and you have to write down the music. You just hear it and you write it down. And then there's 2 exercises, I think, where you are kind of quote unquote composing things. And coming clean right now, live on air, fully skipped one of those exercises. I
And
want
you
to say I
still got a
skipped,
5?
and I still got a 5. I just fully, there's one exercise where you have like, I want to say it's 8 bars of music, and it's like partially written in, and then you have to like compose the ending, but there's a specific structure you have to use to compose it. And I just really never liked that exercise. So I just never practiced and learned how to do it. And so then came the AP exam, and I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I just skipped the entire exercise. I didn't write anything in there. It's not that I tried to write something and just probably got it wrong. I entirely skipped the exercise. So,
And now you have a podcast about music.
and now I have a podcast about music. So, um, yeah, shout out AP Music Theory. Shout out my
Go
AP Music
Panthers.
Theory.
Is
Oh
it
yeah, go
Panthers?
Panthers. Go Panthers.
Is it Panthers? I just said the most mainstream animal for a team in high school in the US. Is it Panthers?
It is Panthers.
Awesome.
It's a lovely black panther
I
on a green
I
and
would have said Go
blue.
Tigers, but I was like, no, Panther.
No, it's a black panther. So shout out Panthers. I'm not gonna say my exact high school, maybe, but shout out Panthers. Shout out my AP Music Theory teacher. So yeah, apparently I am the person with knowledge here, but
Yeah,
please,
that's
like I
true.
said, like I said, I know.
I can summarize my story with music quite faster than AP and skipping and blah blah blah.
Oh, go ahead then.
I can just simply tell everybody that when I was 11, my mother gave me an iPod Touch with a bunch of old music that basically taught me English. And so I was a depressive 11 to 15-year-old in the back of the bus listening to David Bowie or Sean Lennon or Beck. And that's
I
my
wanna,
story. That's my
I
story with music.
wanna, I wanna interrupt you real quick and ask what color the iPod was.
It was this iPod Touch that the back was silver. And
Oh,
even though it didn't have a camera, or there was supposed to be a camera, or it looked like there should be a camera, was like this little black spot. And I think I
interesting.
may have it somewhere in my house so I can go search for it. But yeah, it was like a It wasn't
You
an
sh-
iPod Nano. It was like a genuinely good size. It looked like a phone. It wasn't a phone. Just a
I
Bowie.
had I had a Nano and it was pink.
The shuffle one?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes, I did. But I also had one with a screen. I don't know what that one's called. But well, now here's the thing. Here is where you how can I
What, my
word this?
contribution to this? The name?
No, 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 no. Oh, well, we can that's a secret. That's
Okay,
a secret.
fine, fine, fine.
That's gonna we can the name of the podcast, we will explain perhaps
In the
100th episode.
billion episode,
1
one
billionth
trillion.
episode. Yeah. No, I'm gonna say right now, 100th episode, we're gonna explain the name of the podcast, and everyone's gonna be really underwhelmed, but
No, if actually like six people tune into this weekly and one of them guesses, I'm gonna text them, hey, you're right. Good job. Or
I
or or we can run bets on why is it called like this.
okay,
And
so we're
then
gonna
we're
set
gonna
up a
send them
gambling thing,
our old iPods as a gift. Yes.
if I can find mine.
I can find mine.
I don't know if I still have mine,
I
actually.
almost never lose things
Well, okay, here's the
or
thing.
break things.
Back to what I was saying of here is where you kind of have an advantage over me because you were in the back of the bus listening to David Bowie. I, at that age, was listening to mainly Selena Gomez.
That age being
Uh,
11, by the way.
yeah, so at age 11, I was listening to Selena Gomez and The Scene mainly. Um, and I only really started listening to music like, you know, good and bad is subjective, but to what you would consider good music in 2021. End of 2020, early 2021. No, end of 2021, early 2022. So even later. So I really, before that, I spent quite a quite a while listening to strictly oh my god, this is my coming out. I spent like 3 years listening to strictly Taylor Swift.
Conservative.
I had a playlist with like her entire discography, and I would just turn it on at the beginning of the day and turn it off at the end of the day. And that was all I was doing. It was just that. It was actually can't believe I did that. Um
Who again?
oh
Which,
this
which
this
artist?
this like little underground. She's like
She's still around.
well, I don't know. She's been a little silent for like
A
I want to
week.
say a week.
Is she still alive? She ever gonna die?
But yeah, then so in middle school, I was just listening to like the top 50. I really loved music. I was just not listening to good music, but I was always listening to music. I always had headphones on and I was always listening to something, but it was just mainstream pop, you know? Um, and
Which
then
I
I
will
went
defend sometimes can be good.
and I will defend it too. Here's the thing, past 2 days, I have been really into I'm just losing my credibility, like,
Awesome.
second by second. Past 2 days, I've been really into Ariana Grande. The girl
Oh
has
yeah,
hits.
guys, hear me out. Hear me
The
out.
girl has hits.
You know what Sophia said yesterday?
What did I say?
Sophia said that which one? One of them songs that you were sharing with me of Ariana
Oh,
Grande.
Focus by Ariana Grande is
It's
just
one
Ariana
of
Grande inventing K-pop.
no. That wasn't the outrageous thing to me. It was
Oh, I said
one of the
okay,
best pop songs ever made.
Into You by Ariana Grande is one of the best pop songs ever made.
And here's the thing. I've only been listening to pop for the like really, really for the past I don't know for a while because I always really like Charlie XCX, but going to
That's not
other
pop.
artists, shut up. It
Well,
is.
okay, it is now. Well, when you were listening,
Charlie?
when you
No,
were
no, no. I came into Charlie XCX with Charlie. Isn't Charlie predominantly experimental? Yes, but it's a pop structure album.
okay, I don't count that as like when I'm talking about pop
I mean
music, I'm
mainstream,
talking
super
about
big, popular.
yes,
No, I
yes.
talk more about like the metrics of it. Because I think there's fantastic pop, and especially here's your biggest flaw, um, that you don't really listen to anything that is that old.
Well, that's
Like,
not true.
I mean, but you know, if I talk to you about like 60s or 70s or 80s rock or pop from the 90s or the 80s, then we're lacking a little bit, honey.
I feel
Like,
like no, because I go into for 90s, I go into rock. 90s, I want to say 90s and 2000s are tied for my favorite period. I think. I don't know, guys. Don't quote me on anything I say, but I don't. No, that is definitely true that I'm into music of this century and the 90s. And then past that, I do a little bit of 80s, and then 70s I do like psychedelia, but I
psychedelia, like
don't.
Grateful Dead.
I like the Grateful Dead.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a nice discovery. I didn't know that. I have an uncle that
Well,
is the biggest Deadhead in the world. He knows exactly because you know
I'm
Grateful Dead
sorry,
fans, they can
Deadhead.
that's their name. That's their actual name, if you didn't know. But he can listen to like the beginning of 10 seconds of silence and be like, oh yeah, this is this version of this song recorded this year. And it's
That's
just like
awesome.
silence. It's just like
He's like one of those wine people. You know how people can like open a bottle of wine and take a sip and they're like, this bottle of wine was made in 1994 in this specific vineyard in Tuscany, Italy by a man named Giorgio.
yes, deadheads are exactly wine. How is it in English? Caters?
I think it's
Wine
some
experts, whatever. Deadheads
sommelier,
are the wine experts of music.
sommelier, something
Sommelier.
like that. Ooh, boo, 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 boo. Well,
Oui. Little
wee
Sims.
wee. Oh, Little Sims. We'll talk about her at some point, but
Yeah, for
um,
sure. I know I'm gonna be the one bringing up one of her albums, and I'm gonna
oh,
torture you.
100%, 100%. But
Yeah.
no, okay, yeah, I guess summing up that topic, you're into older music than I am.
I also dabble in the new. I enjoy the new. It's just that
Oh, you love them. Here's the
I
thing.
think it's all about
You
formation, you know?
this is actually interesting. I think you span over like your interest spans over decades and decades and decades, and you love the old stuff, and yet you're really excited about new releases. And I kind of have found this little
Comfort zone.
20 to 30 year zone of 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And I kind of anything before that, I'm like, I don't really care. And then also like new releases, I'm also like, I'm bored. I don't care. Um, but it's also because people keep releasing bad stuff. So it's not entirely my fault. But I am in that little zone and I like that little zone.
Cool little zone.
I enjoy my little zone. And then you are just everywhere.
Yeah, it gets intense. Talking about little zones, today's thing is it has meaning on the name.
It does have many. like the
This is like
car.
small because you thought we need to make like an intro for this. And
Yeah, and
then
so how long have we been speaking? Do we know?
that doesn't matter. I'm just
That
talking about, hey, Mini.
mini mix volume 3
Yeah,
by Magdalena Bay is the body of
this is the
art.
chosen one. It's the number
It
one.
is, yeah, it is the number one of How Old Is This? And How Old Is This? Mini Mix, Volume 3.
I think that's easy to depict because Magdalena Bay is quite recent.
Yeah, this
Like
came out
just
in,
before COVID, they started, I think.
I think they
Hmm.
started a little bit before, I think they started in 2019.
COVID is 2020, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, it feels like 2019 they started.
They
Uh,
started with a mini mix, actually, Volume 1.
when people do recurrent things of their EPs, it's kind of cool. I like it.
I will say, so obviously, this is the third installment in the mini mix series, which they seem to be releasing these in between album cycles, which is pretty nice of just keeping people
Bed.
updated.
Yeah.
And this one is from April of 2023. It is the most recent mini mix. It's not the most recent album because there was an album last year, which we will probably discuss
Later on. I don't want to be
at
repeating
some
that
point.
many bands, even though, again, I think we chose this one also because Magdalena Bay is important for both of us,
Yeah.
so it makes sense.
Yeah. And this is, I'm going to say this, and I think you're going to agree with me.
Mm?
This is the best mini mix.
Ah, okay.
Well, have you heard the other ones?
I've heard the other ones. I've heard the whole discography, naturally.
Yeah. And this is the best one.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think this is the best one. Mini Mix Volume 1 is also a very strong thing.
This is my
Mini
favorite
Mix.
album cover of the mini mixes, though. I like the window more, like the normal one. This one's like the submarine window thing.
Okay, you know what? Let's do this then. Let's get into the album cover of it all. I'm just gonna wrap up that thought of this is the best one. Mini Mix Volume 1 is the second best. And then Mini Mix Volume 2, I need to go back and re-listen because I can't tell you anything about that album. EP. But album covers, if you're bringing up album covers, I'm going to say this, and I say this as a huge Magdalena Bay fan, and I have been listening to them since 2021. This is one of the first, like, quote unquote, good music things that I got into. Um, they have some awful album covers.
I like them. I like that I mean, the first album is horrible. Like the Photoshop skill wasn't there. Then the second one, Mercurial, what is the name? Both covers, like the one with the deluxe and the thing. I think it's pretty, and I just think they grab a lot of their influences from like growing internet-ish or video gaming, which is something I also want to talk about that they do in their music. I like. It
And
makes
their
me makes
videos.
makes me feel like they were the cooler, older people of around my generation that instead of just watching TV, they were making music.
I just the because the most recent album, Imaginal Disc, that one has a great album cover. I really like that
Thank
album
you. A lot of
cover.
people don't like it. I think it's so pretty.
I love it. I feel like we need to get that on vinyl so that it can be like displayed. I love that album cover. Um the Mercurial World. I mean
In
that's just
retrograde.
like it's like a little psychedelic, it's a little whatever. It's not ugly. The mini mix, album covers in like specifically those are really bad, in my opinion.
I I like the windows. I like the idea.
I don't like it.
Like a
I think
tiny,
it's
tiny vision, tiny adventure.
now. Would you say the EP sounds like the album cover?
I would say so.
Okay. I
Bec
just no. Go ahead.
because I remember you saying something about night albums and day albums.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like it's the sun is about to set, but don't think
I
about
was
this the
yeah.
sunset. Don't think about the sunset because it's getting dark, and the longer you go listening to this, it's like night, and then you can start seeing the stars, and for some reason there's some neon, even though you're lost in the middle of the ocean, going to a tiny island. It feels like
That
that to me.
that is actually well, now you're just getting into my like very specific analysis points that I like to hit when I analyze albums, which I guess I need to share my template with you. I didn't do this for
A
this
reason?
and no, I didn't do it because I
You can
also
explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten and so
okay,
first you start play on the album. And I know this is very niche, but you should listen to whole albums. Guys,
guys.
guys, listen to whole bodies of work.
Hey
People
guys.
put their whole life into making something and then you just listen to 30 seconds of the most popular song. I don't like that.
Hey guys, a lot of people put effort into creating the track list and they like the
This is
way
hard to
that it
imagine, but a
goes.
lot of people put effort into something. And with music, I think this is a little tip. You can really differentiate between a good artist and a great artist when you start listening to full albums. I believe.
I agree. I agree with you.
You
Um, ew. We have come to
an
an
agreement.
agreement. But no, okay, we can get into let's get
Magdalena
into
Bay
the
Mini Mix
general
Volume 3 is there in the title, but just in case.
just in case.
Yeah.
We can do the general overview, which I will just you will have to come up with on the spot. I'm going to ask you questions, but then we
Oh
can go
my
song by
God.
song and then we can conclude. And this will probably be a little confusing and a little all over the place. And I wanted to do an
That is
EP
like
because
the point,
I
isn't it?
guess I guess
I
that is
mean,
the
if we're
point.
gonna go song by song, there's some structure there. Screw it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to specifically do an EP for this episode just because I knew that the beginning portion of it would be probably a little longer than
They're just
it
getting
will
into
be in the
something without
future.
any context.
Right, yeah.
I think that'll be
So
funnier. We could have done a double album for the first for the first episode. I'll be happy.
we could have done that really
No,
long Mac
the Mike
DeMarco
DeMarco
album.
one, yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
no, that's
guys,
gonna be
next
episode
track,
2.
song number 123.
Jesus Christ. Well, since you already mentioned time of day, I do like thinking about what time of day is the album I'm listening to. And you said we are on the same page here because you said it is like the evening, but it's like not the sun setting. I wrote
I mean, the
down
sun
to
is setting, but don't think of sunset colors, you know?
yeah, yeah,
It's just
yeah.
the fact that you're losing light as
Yes.
farther as you go in the project. And at some moment, there's going to be a sky, maybe as purple as the album cover in this
Well, the
EP.
album cover is blue.
Well, I remember purplish blue. Like not the
I
sky, like the surrounding of the little like
yeah, yeah,
submarine
yeah.
window. Yeah.
It's a saturated blue. But
Yeah.
no, oh my God, we are so and you guys are gonna think we like discussed this beforehand or something because we are very in sync on these things because you said end of the day. I have written down time of day 5 p.m.
Oh,
And
you
then
put an hour,
I put 5 p.m.
brother.
specifically.
Considering
But
you're in Europe, that hour changes, you know, like how much light there is, and you know,
well, I said season summer.
I
I also said day of the week Thursday.
Wow. I don't know if I can go by the metric of day of the week because most days I don't have that much feeling for days anymore.
I Something about this album, it told me it's a Thursday. It's a Thursday girl, and I said, I accept you as you are. And that is the conclusion we came to together, the album and I. And now into color, you said purplish blue. I wrote down saturated blue into purple.
Awesome.
So we are making money moves.
We're
Um
getting bag. Guys, this is the bag year.
oh guys, also the only
This
reason
is this is a
we're doing
podcast
this
about
podcast.
music. This is about music and finance.
We're hoping this podcast makes us a lot of money.
Billions of dollars.
Billions and billions of dollars is what we are hoping to achieve here.
Music and finance, because that's what music is all about.
Buy our NFTs dropping soon. Um, yeah, you guys, I'm so excited to be a billionaire. Let's get into it.
Okay,
Song
so
one,
song one, it's called Slug Song.
Slug Song, which straight off the bat, I'm a big fan of slugs.
I
I
I dabble in slog enjoying, perhaps.
I'm a big slug enjoyer. The other day it rained.
I'm very against slug torture with salt.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Please don't torture the slugs. But the other day it rained, and the slugs, they tend to come out when the ground is moist. And I was coming home after, I don't know, I was doing something and I was coming home and the ground was wet and the slug was right in front of the door to my apartment building, and we really bonded for, I want to say, like 15 minutes. I just kind of picked it up, put it on my hand, had a little chat. Great guy. So immediately slug
I think
song.
they're genderless.
No, he introduced himself to me.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Slug song sounds exactly like what the album cover looks like to me.
I think it's a great intro. Like, I like that it's self-referential. She says in some moment, she's like, "You're listening to Magdalena Bay." I think that's
She
cute
does
when
say
when
that. She
when
does
bands
say
say
that.
that. And then at the very end, you can also hear them say Munich Vix Volume 3, 3, 3, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I like when they do that.
I like I like many things about this song, actually. Um, I will get into my ranking at the end of stuff because I, of course, have things ranked in order. I like this song. Like that it feels like it really does feel like the album cover, which I said I hated, but I guess I hate it visually, but in my ears it sounds sublime. It sounds like a zoom in. It's a great intro. It's like it feels sparkly and glittery and like I really am on the boat and there really is a window and I really am seeing the island
And I
and
am
I like
Slug.
and I am a slug.
It
Oh my god,
is
the
like
the
there's
music
like a tiny
video.
video. I haven't seen the music video. I saw the tiny videos that they put on Spotify now, which
Yeah,
I bet is the music video. And
yeah.
there was a slug in the middle of a storm in a tiny boat.
There's a slug in a tiny little boat. I
And
highly
it
recommend
makes
the
me
music
feel
videos.
that's why I also think it fits a lot with the EP thing because this feels like a small little adventure. And it also reminded me of this of the immortal slug, like that thing that if you can be immortal, but then there's a slug that if it touches you, you die for the rest of your life. So you need to run away from the slug. It feels like you're
Yep.
the slug in the context of this, and I
Yep.
enjoy that thoroughly.
And the slug is on a little boat,
Yep,
and
it's coming to
the
get you.
song, of course, it's an intro, right? So it's not a I don't know if
Yeah, it
I'd
doesn't
call
feel
it
like a
like a
full
full
song. Yeah,
song.
but it's a
No,
great
no.
intro in the sense that it gives you a great sound palette of what you're
Yeah.
about to listen to, and it does gives you this little tiny feeling of wonder and tiny adventure that I enjoy. Also, now finally touching on the topic of how I feel Magdalena Bay, they're kind of our age
Yeah.
and they feel very online-ish, but also like doing things by hand and like a lot of distortion. But I can
Yeah.
see and feel a lot of influence by video games, which is something that you do not enjoy doing, at least. But here's the thing.
Well,
Here's the thing.
no,
The
no,
the
no,
the
no, 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 no. Let me. I was raised on a criminal, unhealthy amount of Minecraft. So if
uh
that gives me any points in this conversation,
all right.
yeah.
Okay.
I also just checked their oh, I googled their ages on
Don't tell me. I don't want
famousbirthday.com.
to be spoiled. I
Oh,
bet they're like
okay.
1 year younger than me. That'll make me sad.
Oh, no, 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 no. Maybe it will make you feel better, let me tell you.
No, 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 don't tell me, don't tell me. I don't
Alright.
like to know how old talented people are.
Alright.
I don't know how old you are.
How old is this?
How old is this?
How old is this?
This is
Well,
2 years old, right? Yeah. The
yes. What is
Magdalena Bay.
it's
Yeah.
2025, yes.
Okay, so before I
Um,
was interrupted, I was saying that
sorry.
this motive that plays in the intro song really reminded me of this. When I was little, I used to have a Nintendo DS in which there was a Pokemon game uh, called Pokemon Pearl. It was pink, and the thing with Pokemon games is that they usually release two of them so they can make more money. And there was a diamond and there was a pearl, and I chose the pearl because pink is good and because it has a cooler Pokemon in it. And at the very beginning of this video game, like in the tiny town where you start, you can go like to a forest and there's like a small lake, and the lake theme from that game sounds a lot like the main motive of this first song. Like
Mm.
crazy similar, and I bet they have some similar childhoods to mine, and that's why it sounds like this. And the use of like the xylophone and the little like jingles and stuff, that's I think is very rooted in that thing.
See, the reason I maybe now as an adult am not very into video games and have never been is because I never had a Nintendo DS and I never had a Wii
You
and
would
I
have been
never had
such a Nintendogs person.
I
You'll be
would
playing
have
Nintendogs every single day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would have played anything. I really wanted all of these things. I was just told no by my parents. So that is why I have no idea what you may be talking about, but they might, and they probably take inspiration from video game music. And they are definitely, I would think, online people, and you can hear it in the music. You can also see it in the music videos, which the music videos to this specific project seem to just be filmed in front of, like, mainly just in front of a green screen and then a lot of special effects. They are fun. These music videos are fun.
Magdalena Bay is fun.
Magdalena Bay is fun. These music videos are silly, they're campy, they are
Ooh, campy. That's a
colorful.
good word for Magdalena Bay.
Yeah,
That's true.
they are campy. And the thing is, sorry, back to the album cover. the thing about these music videos is they have that very, like you were saying, DIY at home feeling to them. Um, and the album cover it feels very smooth. These music videos feel very grainy.
Like rough, yeah, true.
Yeah, 2000s inspired,
And that's the thing. I
grainy.
think that also translates into the music because
Yeah.
I think mixing and mastering Magdalena Bay songs is very important, but that doesn't mean that they don't use distortions. So it's
Oh,
like
no,
both
yeah.
things a lot, you know?
Yeah.
You have very cool, like in the next song that we're gonna talk about in a second.
Yeah.
There's
Well, we can
such
get
cool distorted guitars and like
yeah.
distorted synths that sounds like they should be rough, but they're mixed in a way that is gentle and the like main driving thing in their songs is the voice of her. Her name is Mika. Mika? Micah?
Mika. I
Mika.
think Mika. Yeah.
And yeah, but it's like both the sides, you know, it's like you can have rough elements, distorted elements, heavy elements, but mixed in a way that makes it gentle or poppy or more digestible.
Yeah, because I think Magdalena Bay, if we were to put them, which as a person who loves categorizing things, I don't like putting people
Ew.
into like specific genres actually, which may be surprising considering I love categorizing everything. But if I had to put them, if I had to place them on the genre map, and if like when the general audience, public, people who are listening to this music put them on a map, I think the public says this is dream pop. I think,
I would say
but
it changes depending on the album.
it
At the
really does.
beginning, yes, but now for me it's shifting into less of a pop metric and sound, so I would say it's more like just alternative indie
It
psychedelic
is such a
in the latest
unique
one.
it's such a unique they have such a unique sound to me.
Yeah,
And they have had this unique sound for a while now. Like they have been doing this for a while and I think it is awesome. And I like as much as, usually you find an artist you like and then you scroll down on Spotify and it recommends you other artists you may like and you're usually able to find something similar. I can't really name anything that I would like confidently say is similar to this. So, but that might just be me.
oh yeah, I would agree with the uniqueness of it, but I would from latest album to maybe future, I will stop using the word pop
Yeah.
because I think people make the general misunderstanding that because it's a female voice, it's pop, you know, even though it sounds much more experimental.
I think also people make the assumption, I don't think, I know this for a fact because she has spoken out about this. People make the assumption that she sings and writes the lyrics and then he does the instrumental mixing, producing part of it.
Because
And
he's a man.
because he's a man and she's a
Yeah.
woman,
Same
he
thing
has
like
a,
Charlie XX and her husband,
yeah,
fiance, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
But they have spoken out about the fact that this is like, it's very,
both of them.
yeah, it's very collaborative.
Yeah, I've seen her play the bass.
Yeah, she does it all. They do it all. They're awesome. Moving into EXO.
Talking about
Um,
awesome.
talking
XO.
about awesome EXO. Well, first of all,
I
transition
have it.
into EXO from Slug Song into EXO with the mini mix volume 33333. Love it.
Yeah, and then
And then it just
loud
starts.
backgrounds. Yeah, in my
These
notes about
songs are
EXO,
also
I just have it very scratched. Like you should say this. EXO is just so cool. It's such a cool song.
it really is. It's
Yeah,
also So I think it's so different from Slug Song. And so you turn on the EP and it's kind of like, this nice little
Like
sparkly
floaty,
melody. Yeah,
dreamy, and then it wakes
dreamy.
you up and you're like, you're in a highway
I
going
was just
fast.
going to say that EXO is a song that I would describe as a motorcycle song. I have never been on a motorcycle, but there are songs that I hear and I just know that that is what riding a motorcycle through a tunnel feels like. And this song, to me, feels like riding a motorcycle through a tunnel.
This feels like peak neon at night of this album, you know? You're going
Yeah,
fast, there's lights, and you're just going very fast. I think also what I like about the song is a good blend between being cool and being cute. Because
it's
it's
so
also a very
cool.
cute song.
Well, I think a lot of their songs are cute because her voice is very, it's a sort of higher pitched, soft voice, and it adds to the cuteness element, but it's cool. It's so cool. And
It's a little bow with a leather jacket.
yeah,
Yeah.
it builds up to the last chorus and then kind of takes a step back. At some point, she's speaking French.
Yeah,
Why
I
is she
have that
speaking
also
French?
too.
Why is she speaking French?
I don't
She
know,
isn't
but
French, as far as I know.
it caught me off, it catches me off guard every single time I listen to it.
Well, because she's what? She's Argentinian, yes?
I have no idea.
I think she's either half or entirely Argentinian. And the outro of this song is Spanish. It's a Spanish sample of a church sermon.
Yeah, it sounds like a a
You're the
father
Spanish
of a
speaker.
mass saying Ten misericordia de nosotros, which means like have misericordia, like have mercy of on
Yeah.
us and such, so on and so forth with religion.
And so I know she has
They tend to put Spanish in
they
some
tend
places. That's
they
why
tend
French
to
catches
yeah.
me off guard.
The French, I don't, maybe just because it's cool. And you know what?
I mean, French isn't cool. She makes French cool.
Yeah. She's speaking French. She's talking about cigarettes.
It's just like three lines. It's
She's
okay.
like she's like something something ma cigarette XO XOLO quelle surprise.
Awesome.
Uh last thing I'm going to say about that is I am not a French speaker, but I can
I
tell that
should be.
she is also not a French speaker. By the
Perhaps she
way,
took like 1 month of French somewhere and was like, this sounds cool. Let's put in my song. My silly.
she says surprise in French, I just know she's not a French speaker. Or maybe she is, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, Mika, if this gets back to you somehow and you are a
Mika
French
from
speaker,
Magdalena Bay.
hey, Mika from Magdalena Bay, if you speak French and I'm just saying things right now, I am so sorry that I said that the way you pronounce surprise in French makes it sound like you don't speak the language. Because what do I know? I don't speak French. I don't know how it should sound.
You should speak French.
Yeah,
Also, Mika, while have you here, delicious distorted guitars on EXO. Thank you so much. I
so
enjoyed.
cool.
Yeah.
So cool, Mika. And then we have the Spanish sample. They're saying, have mercy on us.
And then the transition that you love.
And then the transition that I love, the beat comes in. And it is, for lack of better words, it is orgasmic.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Well, I am letting you know.
Awesome.
And I am crossing my fingers that one day you get to experience this. It feels the way that it feels when you're listening. Sorry. When you're listening to the song and the beat first drops. But the thing about this song, and I don't know if you might be surprised by what I'm about to say. The beat starts, and then for a really long time, this song kind of goes nowhere, in my personal
I
opinion.
think they do that a bunch, you know, that they get lost in repeating the same thing
Maybe.
and a whole lot of instruments. Probably most of the, even though it sounds like there are horns in this EP, everything feels like it's electronic, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of components and layers and stuff.
I just there is a lot of layers, there's a lot of instruments, there's a lot of vocal harmonizing stuff, and yet the first half of the song, because later it starts doing things. The first half of the song feels a little bit empty. It feels like quiet. Like I don't know if it's just in contrast with EXO because that's such a loud song,
But
but
then this one
this
becomes loud. I think it's just very, what do you call this? In trance.
maybe. I don't know. I I like after 1 minute and 43 seconds when the epic drop takes place. It is the
The
second.
drum, when the drums come in with
Yeah.
the, yeah, that's very nice.
Well, no. I don't know because here's the thing. At 1:15, the first transition happens and it's like the sparkly little synths and then like tiny little drums. To me
I
that
wouldn't say
also
tiny little
feels
drums. They feel like bigger. They feel like, okay, we're breaking this.
well, they're just very fast.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's maybe what I mean by tiny. I don't like that moment. This
I
make
love that.
it takes me out of the song for a second. The transition feels awkward at 1:15. But then at 1:48 when the like bass or synth or whatever it is kicks in, that's awesome.
And
That's really
it goes
awesome.
back to the trance of the beginning, but now with the bigger synth. I know what you
Yeah, with
mean.
the
Yeah.
bigger
The
synth, and
heavier one.
that makes a lot more sense to me, and that feels correct, and I am not the only one that thinks so, because that segment of the song was used in an Apple commercial, so
That's where they get money, huh?
that's where they get their funds. Yeah.
Told you guys, this is all about finance too.
Well, I don't know if you picked up on this, but there are barking ad libs on the offbeats,
Yes. Like a
which
little
I
wolf.
think
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a yep, I think that's a
Which
nice
is the
touch.
guy. Which is totally
That's
just the guy.
it's just the guy and he's barking, and I think that's a nice little Easter egg for the next track.
Yeah,
But
but
um,
like I think guys should
before we
bark
get,
more.
I
Can we
think
go
guys,
back to guys barking before they pick up a fight in the streets? That'll be cool.
can we please, guys, make that happen? But before we get into the song about barking, um, she in the chorus. I guess this is the chorus. Some of these songs don't have like the typical structure, but there is a moment in the chorus where she's saying like there's like the main part of the chorus and kind of like a background part of the chorus. She's like speaking to herself. Um and so she's like singing and then she'll kind of be more like speaking and there is a
Yeah,
part
it's like this word response thing, right? Like,
yes. And there is a
mhm, yeah.
part where she's like to your jar, da 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 da, and in between she's saying stuff and I thought up until today that one of those like responses that she does is her saying uh rah rah rah
Like a dog.
and like a dog or like a little tiger bear of sorts. That is not what she's saying because I was finishing up these notes and I was going to put down in my notes that I like the rah 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 because I do like it. And when I'm listening to the song, I go rah rah rah. And then I come to find out she's actually saying words, and she's saying, "You're further than I thought." And I choose to ignore that fact. So, I'm a big fan of the "rah, rah, rah" in this song. And now on
Top
to
dog.
I Am Top Dog.
And you know what I like to do?
What do you like to do?
I hope I don't mess up the lyrics. I like to swim in the dark.
Yup, yes you
Yeah,
do.
I like that line.
And honey, if you know the movie Wild at Heart, I can be like the girl in Wild at Heart. Now, who is the
The
girl at
girl
the girl
in
in
Wild.
Wild at Heart?
I have no idea. I
Honey,
just like that in this. Well, you are.
well, no, no, no. Let me tell you. The girl in Wild at Heart is none other than Laura Dern.
Oh, I enjoy. Yes, I
Wild at
enjoy
Heart
Laura Dern.
Wild at Heart is a 1990 film movie directed by David Lynch.
Ooh,
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Starring Laura Dern, Nicolas Cage, and William Dafoe.
Goodness gracious.
And it looks interesting. It has I'm looking at it right now. It has quite good reviews, so maybe this is
Yeah,
something.
really, David Lynch has good reviews.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's that's so interesting. But maybe
yeah,
this is something we need to check out. But
perhaps, but you don't watch movies.
I don't watch movies, but and if you know the movie Jurassic Park, then I can be like the girl in Jurassic
Jurassic
Park
Park, raw,
at
raw,
heart.
raw.
Who is the girl in Jurassic Park?
Laura Dern,
Yes, it is. So
which
we're
is,
getting a lot of Laura Dern references here.
yeah. I bet they just think she's like cool and beautiful.
I don't know, this makes me feel like I need to rewatch
Everything.
Big Little Lies.
I like how in
Although,
I like how in Top Dog there's this little like camera sound clips when she says, "I'm about to flash."
what does she mean by that?
Probably flash the person, so she's gonna take off some clothes or something. Or she's about like to spark. Really it's probably just I'm about to explode and spark and it's gonna be awesome. But I like to think that Mika is saying, I'm about to flash you unconsensually.
No, because I think she's saying automatic flash.
Well, for me, it's I'm about to flash, like Charlie.
I'm about to flash.
Into the water.
Well, I want to highlight the best line of the song, which is I'm always happy because
I
I only
always
do what
do
I
what I
want.
want. I can
Yup,
feel
yup,
seen by
yup,
that,
yup, yup,
by
yup,
that
yup.
line, really.
I also really like her delivery
Yeah. It's a bit
of
like a cocky teenager.
it's sassy.
Exactly.
She only does what she wants,
Yeah.
and she's always happy,
Because.
and that's beautiful.
Yeah. Last thing I
That's
want to say
beautiful.
about Top Dog is that the most of the backgrounds, so like the music, not necessarily the lyrics or delivery, sounds a lot like a poolside uh track.
Mm.
Real ones that know what poolside is,
Real ones know.
real ones know. Real ones know that Pacific Standard Time is a great album, and the cover of that song Harvest Moon by Neil Young is there. And it's awesome.
Real ones get it.
Real ones get it.
Real ones also love the ad libs on the song of I don't know if it's Matt's voice or if it's Mika's voice pitched down or if it's just some other person's voice, but the little who sound that they do. I really like that because it reminds me of Subway Surfers. Of
It's
the
pro like considering how much video games. Maybe it is the Subway Surfers thing
maybe
pitched up.
maybe that's what they're sampling.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Subway Surfers guy that's
This whole
chasing.
EP should be called Subway Surfers Volume
It
3.
could be. It could be. This song is awesome.
Yeah.
It's the most popular one off of this EP.
Is it?
Yes.
It should be EXO. So
I do agree. But this one is
if we lived in a better society, EXO would be more popular than Top Dog, but
guys, we live in a society.
I just said society. Okay.
Yeah,
Next
yeah,
one, Tongue
yeah, yeah,
Twister.
yeah. Tongue Twister feels like two different songs, and I mean that in a derogatory way. Of
I will
the
not be derogatory towards this song because this one and the next one, which is Wandering Eyes, are the ones that I think are more in tune with like how poetic they can write something. I quite enjoy the lyrics of this like later half of the EP because of the writing.
I enjoy the song lyrically. I just the sound of the chorus and the verse, it doesn't. It's a little. There's something about it. They don't sound like they should be on the same song.
A lot of people that are not, how to say, very exposed to experimental music would say that Magdalena Bay mixed a lot of things that should not be mixed.
Well, I like a lot of those things, but this one
You
I'm
find it
gonna
incoherent.
yeah.
Uh,
And I
Interesting.
do I do really like separately I have written down that I think the production of the song is really good and the verses are really well produced and the chorus is really well produced. And there's like wonderful little sounds and it's if you're actually listening into the layers of these songs, this one has great layers.
Yep.
I just there's something off. There's something off. I'm gonna spoil it right now.
Your least favorite song of
This
the.
is my least favorite song.
Huh.
And I also don't like the creepy music video, which is Mika in a have you seen it?
I haven't seen music videos for this project now.
It is Mika in like a boxing rink, I guess. And
Barking?
they're huh?
Barking?
No, boxing.
Ah,
And there are two tongues fighting it out.
that's the name of the song.
I know, and yet I didn't enjoy watching two tongues. And it's also it's not this one is this music video is I want to say out of all of these videos the one because all of these songs have music videos, but the tongue twister music video is the one that uses the least green screen and it's her actually in
There,
in the boxing rink and
barking.
and there are there are tongues,
Uh-huh.
physical tongues. Like they hired people and put
To be a
them in
tongue.
they put them in tongue costumes, huge tongues by the way, like huge, and they are just fighting it out. And she's like dressed
Referee.
as the referee.
I knew it. I didn't even know. But yeah, it's kind of
It's
obvious. It's
hey, it's
cute.
creepy. I don't like it.
Last thing I want to say about tongue twister is that again, sorry to sounding like a broken record. Uh, but with video games, it sounds a lot like this game called Celeste, like the background, like the production.
Yeah.
Uh, have you ever heard about Mario?
Like
He has like
Mario Kart?
a brother, yeah. He does the
Yeah.
jumping and the wahoo.
Yeah.
So Celeste is this game which is basically Mario, but you're a redhead woman,
Oh.
and it's about climbing a mountain to like save you from depression.
Oh.
And like the little bits and sections and soundtrack of this whole video game is very similar to this song, and I really enjoy it. It wouldn't surprise me if they interpolated or got some ideas from that video game, which I really enjoy.
It wouldn't surprise me either, but there's something off. But you know, the next song, there's nothing off about the next song.
I think this is the most song of the bunch.
It's definitely the most song of the bunch. I would also say this out of all of these six, theoretically seven songs, the last song is a slug song reprise, so it's just the melody from the beginning comes back.
Yeah, but this is something at the end, though.
Okay.
Mm.
So out of seven songs, this song, Wandering Eyes, is the one that I feel could be on Imaginal Disc.
Yes, I think that's again like with Tongue Twister because of the writing quality of the lyrics, that it's more poetic rather than hook, and cute voice. It's more like, yeah, this is genuinely poetry. Because for me, Imaginal Disc is a bunch of poetry.
I don't know, I just really like the way this song builds up in the sense of, well, here's something, and I do hope we get to Imaginal Disc one day,
Someday,
someday.
1300 special.
Yeah, in a billion years.
Yeah.
I do hope we will cover Imaginal Disc, but I'm going to spoil a little bit of my opinion of that album is that an issue of a lot of those songs is that they start kind of very small and then get very large, which is not a bad thing. However, too many songs on that record do that. And I also think too many songs on that record start nowhere. And the thing I really like about Wandering Eyes is that it starts like a complete song, and
But
yet
then
it
you have
still
this build
builds.
up and this wall of sound.
Yeah, and then it
I
feels like
agree.
walls are closing in on you, and her voice gets scratchier, and the music gets scratchier, but it starts off as a complete song. It doesn't feel empty the way that, for example, the beginning of Two Wheel Drive sounds a little empty to me.
Back to it with Wandering Eyes, and then
Yeah.
you said how uh out of seven songs, the reprise is just like the same motive at the beginning, just shorter and like a tiny goodbye.
And
Which,
less
hear me
words.
out, hear me out. Of course, less words, it's like one sentence. But
It's a
hear me
minute
out. I
long,
don't
I
think the
think.
music of Magdalena Bay is that deep or that many layers. But considering that they set out to be very like an adventure,
Mhm.
maybe you're a hypothetical slug on an adventure. I like that the last sentence is you've already come this far. Like a little, yeah, you listen to this whole thing.
It ties everything up.
Yeah, it's a good tie. I enjoy the slug song reprise.
I I as a whole project, I enjoy that it, starts and begins with a thing.
The background too loud.
I can hear it. That's fine.
Sorry.
But I don't I'm gonna be honest, and I don't know if that makes me a bad music listener. I when Tongue Twister, if I'm listening to this EP, even if I listened through Tongue Twister and do Wandering Eyes and I consume it as an entire thing, Slug Song Reprise comes on and I'm switching. I'm using Slug Song Reprise to choose my next album I'm listening to.
That's because it's an ending and you don't pay that much attention to it. But if the idea is to listen to this thing, front to back, I think it's a very nice bowl at the end, you know?
Yes, I will agree with you
Yeah.
there. With that being
Ew.
said, ew. With that being said, I do have it ranked last.
I thought you had tongue. No, which one? Yeah, tongue twister last.
No, Tongue Twister is above Slug Song Reprise.
Huh.
So it goes from the bottom up. Grand reveal of my ranking. Slug
But
Song Reprise, Tongue Twister, Slug Song, Two Wheel Drive, Wandering Eyes, Top Dog, and number one goes to EXO.
awesome. I somewhat agree. It doesn't feel like a. I would only do rankings of songs for full albums, and I even have an issue with that because I don't know. Like, of course, you can like something over the other, but the idea in an album is not every song wants to be the best song. No.
Oh yeah, no, of course. And also I am the way that I am approaching a ranking is my personal opinion. Like I'm not saying that I'm not ranking these in terms of what the best song is. I'm ranking them in terms of
How much
my
you
personal
enjoy them.
opinion. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm just saying what I enjoyed the most, what I enjoy the least. But of course, that is subjective. Of course, you should disagree with me. Make it fun. Disagree with me, everybody. But yeah, that was Mini Mix Volume 3, you guys.
Yeah. It was very mini, even though we spoke like a bunch about it.
I was gonna say, I deliberately was like, we should do an EP for the first episode so
Yeah.
we don't speak for
A long, long
as
time.
long. And
We're
then,
gonna get the hang of it and we'll know when to, you know, move
yeah,
past some songs that are not as important and not repeat the
yeah,
same little, oh, I enjoyed this little bit of sound.
we'll get the hang of it. But this was
We'll
good. This was
get
fun.
hang.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
Back to the dark ages.
Whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
she's a witch.
whoa.
She knows AP music theory, witch, burn,
I
burn,
am
burn the
someone.
witch.
Burn the
Hail
witch.
to the witch.
Yeah, well,
Okay, I
I
should also
guess.
mention this was your pick.
I suppose it
Yeah.
was my pick, and therefore you need to now pick
I
next
I already
week's
have it picked
album.
up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
It's also not
share.
a super big album. It's just an
Share.
important album, and I think people will enjoy it. And I don't know if you listen to it fully.
Announce.
The next album for next week is gonna be, drum roll, please. Do a drum roll, damn it.
I'm not gonna do a drum roll, it's gonna sound really bad.
Fine. The album for the next week is gonna be Little Joy by the band Little Joy.
What?
What?
The album
How
is.
old is that? I don't know
How
yet.
old is
We'll get to
that?
see. We'll get to see. I can speak a lot about this album too. So
Okay, you guys.
tune in. Also,
So you have.
you do your homework.
Everyone has homework.
Not necessarily. People can choose they listen to after we talk about it too. You know, people have
Sure.
free will, I think.
Sure. Well, thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for that little background noise that you have going on. I've quite
Awesome.
enjoyed that.
Hey. It wasn't there for most of the recording, and I'm in a Latin
Sure.
American household. What can I
Sure.
say?
Sure. I'm surprised my cat hasn't started meowing, but
She has a
um
cat, people.
I have a cat, people,
This and many more things will be revealed on
on the
next
next
week's
episode.
episode.
Tune in. This has been Mini Mix Volume 3 on
How
How
old
Old Is
is
This?
this?
And with that, we are gonna go.